You don't want to go into next quarter or next year wondering where all the time went, which is why the beginning of a new month is the perfect time to do a monthly review and reset. I do my monthly review on Notion. So this is what my monthly review page looks like. I call it my Get a Grip system. And if you're interested in getting this template, I'm going to leave a link in the description box below. I call it the Get a Grip system because it's just a little mnemonic for me to remember the step-by-step process. So the system starts with the G for gather data, and I'm going to start with a little sip of my tea. My voice has been a little hoarse lately, but that is not going to stop me. So let's start with gathering up the data. You want to gather up as much data or information that you can on the past month. Start off with looking at my photos. I go through my photos on my iPhone, on my iPad, on my computer. Photos help you understand your high points and also your low points. If you're anything like any millennials or Gen Zers out there, we're taking pictures all the time, whether it's good or bad. So your photos are a good reminder of what you've done over the last 30 days or so. I also look at my Google Calendar. The Google Calendar is going to help me remember the meetings or the places I've been or the places I've traveled to over the past month. So that's another place where I gather information. I also do a bullet journal review. I look through and look at the tasks that I've completed. I'm also taking a look at what I didn't do over the past month. That is going to help me determine what I'll be doing in February, but for now, I'm just looking at what I have actually accomplished over the last month by looking through my bullet journal. I also have a lot of systems within my Notion, so I'm going to do a review. That's going to tell me how my workouts went, how my habits are going over the past month, and that gives me a holistic picture of how I've spent the month. Now I'm going to move to examine. One of the things that I do is try to get a quick visual snapshot of my month. I do that by selecting a few photos from the photo reels that I've looked at. I'm going to pull out 6 or 7 pictures that are emblematic of my month and kind of capture highlights, lowlights. I use a Canva template. Canva is a free web design platform and it has lots of useful templates. So you can search for a vision board template. Once you've identified one that works for you, you can use it over and over again as the months go by. So that's what I have here is this kind of vision board that I've been using for the past few months, but you can see here that I can use a different format. So this is my January 2024 highlights. My son and my husband and I went to see the Mean Girls movie. There were several snow days this month, so work was canceled, school was canceled. We got to spend a lot of time playing out in the snow. And related to that, my son and I have been really enjoying these wearable blankets that we got for the holidays. So we've been kind of snuggling up on that. My husband had some friends visit from California and they all went to a Cowboys game. I am going to be in a wedding soon, so I did some bridesmaid dress shopping. So I did my first try on for that. I've also been back at the gym and have been focusing more time and effort on YouTube. So that's all captured here. And this is my little dog, Darwin here. I just like to put in a little picture of the dog whenever possible. So you can have it be more aesthetic like this, or you can just do it a little bit more plain. Sometimes I like this better. This is the one that I'm going to use today. So I'm going to take a picture of that. You could also download it, but the download file could be a little big for Notion. So I'm just going to take a screenshot and I'm going to move that photo over here to pictures of last month. So when disappeared. There it is. So when I look back on this month, when I do my quarterly review, I'll have a quick snapshot of what I did, quite literally a snapshot. Then I think about my favorite memory for the month. Now, as humans, we tend to have what's called a negativity bias, which is like a little glitch in the way that we think about and remember things. So we tend to remember and more easily recall negative things that happen to us, and it takes a little bit of effort for us to think about the positive things. Some people have hypothesized that it has to do with evolution and how it's more valuable for our survival to be able to remember that something was bad or scary or poisonous or potentially life-threatening than it was for us to remember like the cuddles and kisses and warm feelings that we have from other situations. So to counter that negativity bias, I try to focus on highlighting my favorite memory, and later on we're going to focus on some gratitude as well. So my favorite memory this month was a particular conversation that I had with my son. So I'm going to give a little bit of detail on that, and I'll have something sweet to look back on. I noticed that I haven't renamed this template, so I'm going to go back up here. This is going to be important for when I review at the end of the quarter and at the end of the year. So I want to make sure that I'm labeling it properly. So just 2024 January. Okay, now we're moving on to the T in the system, which is to track. I'm going to start off by listing my quarterly goals that I've already set up for the quarter and my monthly goals that I set up last month. My goal for this quarter is 12 video updates. I also have some weight-related goals. So the goal is to lose 6 pounds this quarter. And those are my 2 achievement goals. Achievement goals are things that I can check off as done or not done. And then I also have some habit goals that I'm trying to develop over this quarter. So I'm going to list those in a separate area. I'm going to put in a divider and then add some additional bullets. So my habit goals have to do with calorie tracking, so track calories. I'm also tracking my routines. Oh. And lastly, I have my daily Japanese lesson. All right. Those were my quarterly goals, but my monthly goals were more specific to the month of January, but they should all be in service of those quarterly goals. So my monthly goal was to have 4 videos up on YouTube. So 4 videos up on YouTube, 2 pounds lost. And I also had those habit goals, so track calories. And I had given myself an 80% goal, so 80% of the days. Tracking routines, also 80% for that. And my Japanese lessons, my monthly goal was to keep the streak alive. Since I am doing Duolingo and they have this like very addictive streak calendar that I'm trying to keep alive. So technically it's 100% compliance with Japanese lessons, but you can like buy a streak freeze. Like there's some nuance to it, but pretty much the goal for this month was to keep the streak alive. All right, so I have those just because I want this to look as clean as possible. I'm going to be doing a little bit of movement here, having those habit goals under the quarterly goals. Oh, no. This month's progress is going to tell me how many of those goals I hit. So, unfortunately, this is my 4th video of the month, and this happens to be the 3rd time I'm recording it because once there was an audio issue, once there was a screen share issue. Long story short, it is February 1st right now, so I could put this up today, and I probably will, but I didn't meet that goal. I only got 3 out of 4 videos. It's okay. We're being real with ourselves, right? We're developing self-awareness and having some accuracy in our tracking. I did lose exactly 2 pounds this month, so I met that goal. I have not had one full day. Oh, I had one full day. I had one full day of calorie tracking. So that's 1 out of 31 days, which is much less than 80%. I have been tracking my routines and I've been doing so consistently. I can actually look through my bullet journal. Okay, so it looks like I tracked all but 4 days. So that is, okay, 27 out of 31 days, which is more than 80% of the time. And I have kept my Japanese streak alive. So how should I write this? Streak is alive and well. All right, so this month's progress, I hit 3 out of the 5 monthly goals. So that tells me where I could adjust potentially for next month. So for next month, do I want to add that one video and make it 5 videos for the month of February? Or do I want to just stay with 4 videos for the month? I am going to hit 5 videos. For February, I don't have to write that because February is next month, so I'm gonna hit 5 videos. I wanna hit another 2 pounds. I do want to hit the food tracking goals. Give me a few minutes and we'll get to problem solving in a little bit, but for now, I do want to do 80% calorie tracking, also food tracking. I also want to do 80% routine tracking, and I want to keep the streak alive. Now, the awesome thing about doing these monthly reviews every month and using some sort of template or some sort of process that's similar from month to month is that you can reflect back or look back on last month's goals, and you can just pull from there to the following month. So next month, I could just start from there. Next up in the system is A for accountability. In accountability, I'm going to ask myself, what do I need to do more of next month, and what do I want to do less of next month so that I can actually hit those goals? This is why it's important to reflect back, because then you can say, like, what do I need to tweak and how do I need to change it so that I can meet my goals, I can continue to meet my goals, or I can meet goals that I didn't meet last month. So the things that I could do more of is more monotasking and slowing down. That's one of the things that has derailed me from following through on video production as well as food tracking specifically, because when I eat, I tend to stop everything else that I'm doing, but I take that break and I use it to consume YouTube videos or to do some research or to do something else, so I'm not just eating. That takes my focus away from tracking, and I am focused on things that are a lot more fun, that are a lot more rewarding for my attention. So I want to do more monotasking, especially around food. I want to do more general logging. I think that's going to help with me keeping on track with tracking my calories and tracking my routines. If I change my strategy, rather than trying to put the exact food and quantity into something like MyFitnessPal, I can just use my bullet journal to log what it is that I ate. It's a much quicker system for me, at least, since my bullet journal is always near me, or even the notes app on my phone. But that, again, there's like friction and resistance. I have to like tap a button, open it up, format it. So I just need some way of like quickly capturing what I'm eating, and that's gonna help me with my calorie tracking. So if I get into the habit of just generally logging what's going on in my day, that might help me with that. So I wanna do more general logging. I think that's what I want to do more of. What I want to do less of is mindless consumption of YouTube. This month I have gotten deep into like maybe pop culture tube, where other psychologists are commenting on popular shows. That's been taking up a lot of my time. So I want to make sure that I'm not doing it mindlessly. So I'm consuming it when I am on the treadmill or when I am working out. We got a TV in my gym for Christmas. So that is a way that I can still consume what I want to consume, but doing it less mindlessly. That kind of takes up some of my free time that I could be investing in this channel. So do less consumption. So let me see, is there anything else that I want to do less of? So nothing else that I can think of, and we're going to start synthesizing some of this information in a few minutes as we go through and answer some more questions. But now is a moment for gratitude. Having some sort of gratitude practice has been shown to increase mood, decrease stress, and increase life satisfaction. So I take a moment and I think about what I'm grateful for, the people or situations that have brought me some joy in the past month. Now, I tend to be pretty objective and task focused rather than people focused. So because I know that about myself, hashtag self-awareness, I try to focus my gratitude on a person. So this month, I am particularly grateful for my sister. We call her Little Tammy, and I am grateful for her because we had a recent loss in our family, and she has really been there for me, like taking my random calls. She's been really supportive, has been encouraging me to allow myself to grieve and also to, be sad or down sometimes. And it's nice when you have someone that you can connect with. For me, I tend to be sensitive of requesting people's time and attention, and she has been very generous this month with her time and attention, and I'm just super grateful for that. So I'm going to write a little blurb here that will remind me of that special gratitude that I have for her this month. And I noticed that I have my template set up for 2 columns here, and that's because I've been toying with renaming this portion of my monthly review Grace and Gratitude. Now, you tell me what you think as I type that out. So grace and gratitude. I've been toying with a space where I could give myself grace, because a lot of my review and reset is focused on performing and doing things, achieving things, changing, and it doesn't really have a space for me to say, hey, sometimes it's okay for you not to achieve these things, and there is a certain amount of grace afforded to you for being just a human person, and you don't always have to be perfect, even if you're the only person setting those metrics for yourself. So even if you're not meeting your own standards, that's okay, and this might be a place for you to be able to extend yourself some grace. So over here, right next to my gratitude, I am going to just delete that so that we have kind of 2 columns. That was hard. We've taken a moment for grace and gratitude, and now we're moving on to the R, reflect, and I'm moving on to some tea. I am really loving this Starbucks ceramic mug that I got for Christmas. I think this is like a vintage piece that my husband found on eBay. I have a little collection of these guys, and they always bring me a little bit of joy. Okay, let's reflect. My greatest success this month was, I would say, recommitting to my YouTube journey. My greatest failure this month was the calorie tracking. And let's see, my biggest lesson learned. I think my biggest lesson learned this month is that the person I am today is not the same person that I was last year or 5 years ago or 10 years ago. There are some things that I struggled with in the past, like things like coming up with ideas for my YouTube channel. Things like I was a really consistent calorie tracker after having my son, and I did it for years, like 4 or 5 years, until I got to the point where I really didn't need to track anymore because I was so consistent with like how I ate and my just like total wellness that I really didn't have to do that. And I thought it'd be really easy for me to jump back onto that bandwagon, and that was not the case. So I think my biggest lesson learned is that I need to get to know this person that I am today and not judge her against the person that I was in the past. All right, how can I increase my chances for success next month? These are some of the things that I've already been discussing with myself throughout this video. So one of the things was to reconfigure my week around writing and editing and filming for YouTube. So I have to update my YouTube workflow. All right, another thing that I can do is meal plan during the weekends, so I know exactly what I'll be eating, and potentially I could preload some of my meals into my FitnessPal. That way it's less work for me on a daily basis. It's more work for me up front, but it might increase my chances of having complete food logs. So I can meal plan. What else am I trying to get done next month? So I have those 5 videos. I have ways that I can increase the likelihood that that'll happen. I want to continue what I'm doing right now in terms of eating, but my calorie tracking was lacking last month, so I have a plan for that. I'm going to continue tracking my routines and continue doing my Japanese lessons. Things I'm concerned about, this is a general bucket where I can put things that might impact me next month. So just like I gave myself grace a few steps back, these are things that might get in the way of what's happening next month. This is helpful because as I'm planning for next month, I also want to consider things that could get in the way. That could be my emotional state, it could be things that are uncertain, or they're just like things that are hanging out in my head that could interfere. So this is going to help with something called implementation intention, and I have a few videos on my channel discussing that. But implementation intention is a way of increasing the rate of success for your plan because you've thought through potential barriers or potential things that can get in the way, and you create if-then statements to be able to address those. Identifying things that I'm concerned about or that I've identified as potential obstacles in the coming month, it's going to help me plan for those obstacles. So the things that I'm concerned about right now, I have put in a second request to be transferred from my current position to another position. So I work within a government agency and I'm a behavioral scientist and psychologist within this agency, and I've just asked to be moved to a different group so that I can focus on like a different type of research. And I was denied a few months ago. One way to look at that is actually like, it's great because my current team was like, we don't want to leave you. You're really important to us. Like, you're valuable. We do not want you to go. But another way of looking at it is like, there was something that I wanted that I didn't get. So there was a level of disappointment with that. So I've put in another request to be changed to a different group, and that may or may not go through. So some of the things I'm concerned about is occupational uncertainty. I've spent a lot of time being fearful of making like a big misstep when it comes to my finances. Part of that uncertainty is that I've had some great things happen in terms of my income and my retirement accounts, but with that increased success also comes some concerns about like messing it up or losing it all. And I haven't fully explored where that is coming from, but I do know that it's something that I'm just kind of concerned about. It's like rattling around in my head, and this is where I put those types of things. So I'm generally concerned about financial literacy, and just like feeling like I'm at the end of what I know about money and that I might want to learn more about it in the coming months. All right, those are things that I'm concerned about. The I in the system is improve, and I'm not sure what happened here because it should be blue and it should be big. So let me see if I can turn this into. That was my improve section, which I missed the heading on, but now all is well. The R is review systems. So this is where a lot of the action starts happening. I want to review my quarterly systems and ensure that the monthly goals that I have for this month are serving those larger quarterly goals. So in order to do that, I'm going to go back into my yearly checklist, and that's because this is the first quarter. So rather than doing a quarterly review or quarterly goals this year, I did the yearly goals, and then I kind of broke it up into what I wanted to focus on for January. So let me go into here. This is my big year in review, and I did a video on how to plan your entire year in 1 hour. I'm going to link it up here or up here somewhere, here, one of these places, and I'll also link it in the description box below. But here are some things that I did. But moving down toward goals, here are my yearly goals. So you'll see here that I have this was over here, the dark colors are what I did for 2023, and the lighter colors are my goals for 2024. So you'll see here that I have videos. I have a monthly goal related to videos. I have a monthly goal related to goal weight. I have a monthly goal related to solidifying my routines. I do not have goals related to my 1 or 5 year plan because that is not a focus for the first quarter. That is going to be a focus for my second quarter or my second yearly section. I don't divide my years into quarters, I divide them into quintiles. It's a thing, and that is because I customize how I break up my year. So the first portion of my year happens to be a quarter, it happens to be 3 months long, but some other sections of my year are not 3 months long, and that's because I tailor my routines to the phase of the year. So during the summertime, it is very different around here, having a school-age child that is not in school, so that becomes a different set of routines during that like 2 to 3 month period. I also carve out the holiday periods at the end of the year as its own separate time period, because during that time I'm going to have different routines, different expectations of myself. So I split up my year into fives rather than four quarters, but I don't have a specific financial goal for this section of my year. Cleaning routines, that's part of tracking my routines. I don't have any formal classes in Japanese or videography, which is my other kind of yearly goal. And again, that's because that is not a priority in this quarter. I don't necessarily have anything related in this quarter toward my career change. And I do have some things related to routines related to other people. So I'm just going through this and making sure that the monthly goals that I have are serving those quarterly goals. Okay, back to this month's review. I have identified that the monthly goals are serving the quarterly goals. Are all of my goals this month SMART goals? So let's go back and see. All right, I have post 5 videos by the end of February. That's a SMART goal. Lose 2 pounds by the end of February. Also a SMART goal, but also a goal that I might encourage my clients to change, because you don't directly control the weight, like the number that's on the scale. You control all of the things leading up to that number on the scale. So I like to have goals framed in a way where they focus on things that are within your control rather than outside of your control. Strictly speaking, lose 2 pounds in the next 30 days or 28 days. How many days does February have this month? Losing 2 pounds in 29 days, technically a SMART goal. All right, 80% tracking. So I will track 80% of my caloric intake over the next 29 days is a SMART goal. The routine goal is the same, and keep the streak alive is technically complete 29 days of Duolingo. That is also a SMART goal. All right, so I do have SMART goals. Now I'm going to review my current Notion system and see if that still works for me. I love that this is here right now because it actually gives me an opportunity to review my monthly system. So should reviewing my current Notion system be something that I do every month? I don't know. I think this is more of a quarterly thing. So I'm gonna move that bullet point or that task item over to my quarterly reset. So I'm just gonna grab it, drop it there into quarterly reset, because I think that that should be moved to being done less frequently than once a month, but not as infrequently as like every 6 months. So I'm gonna move that into my quarterly reset. Now I'm gonna look at my monthly calendar and see what my month looks like. So let me go ahead and bring that up. I have been toying with the new Notion calendar. If you've been playing with it, let me know in the comment section down below what you think about it. I'm not sure if I'm ready to jump ship from my Google Calendar, but I've been playing with it a little while. Let me know what your thoughts are on it in the comment section down below. And while you're down there, you can consider gently tapping that subscribe button. I know that less than half of you are subscribed to this channel, and it would bring me so much joy, and I could reflect back on it next month if you do. All right, looking at what's happening. So this is kind of a big overview. I'm just looking at it on a monthly schedule. So I know that I have some clinic time coming up. Valentine's Day is coming up. It's my husband's turn to plan Valentine's Day. We alternate. One of us will do Valentine's Day and the other one will be in charge of our anniversary. So he's in charge of Valentine's Day this year. That means I'm in charge of our anniversary in a few months. There is let's see, my son has a dental appointment coming up. I have, like, my Tuesdays are always full of meetings. I have a flight out to Florida coming up in a few weeks where I will be traveling to visit my sister, who we talked about earlier today. And let's see, nothing else is really jumping out at me as something different or something that requires my attention. So doing this just gives me a general idea of what I could expect this month. So that is done. Next, I'm going to be reviewing my budget. So I generally look at my budget 2 times a month right now when I do my monthly review, and I also look at it again around the middle of the month when my husband and I get our second paychecks. So we both get paid twice a month on the same day, which is pretty convenient, and we separate our expenses based on the pay period, so the paycheck rather than the whole month. So I come in here at the beginning of the month, and usually I will just copy the budget from the last month, and I will paste it here for the following month. I clear out this row. Here I have all of the income, so the 2 paychecks and any additional money that we get in for the month. And here I have our outgoing, so our expenses. This is half of our mortgage. Any payments that we have, that is all here. And these are all on auto pay, so I just have them there for visibility so that I kind of know where the money is going. And then there are additional expenses. We used to work on an allowance system, so this actually tells me that I need to update my monthly budget since we're no longer working on that system. And then we have some money for short-term goals, for the emergency fund, and then we have a section for miscellaneous spending money. The exact numbers don't matter here, it's really more of the system. So I want all of these to be added up. That is how much is going to automatically come out of my bank account. And then these are numbers that I move over. And these are also the numbers that I can manipulate because they're not fixed expenses. So these are variable expenses. So when I go in here, I see that here I have an excess of $1,000. So I can ask myself, how do I want to spend that extra $1,000? Because if you add up all of my fixed expenses, that's the number that we're going to end up with. And if you add up all of these variable expenses, that's the number you're going to end up with. You add both of those and you'll see that there is a surplus of $1,000. So one of the things that we're going to be doing is investing. These are our numbers after we've already put away 10% each for retirement. So now that we were doing that, we're going to do a second investment, either in another retirement account or into just general investing. So this might be a good time to start. So if I put the $1,000 there, this formula automatically recalculates. So now we're going to have an excess of $15, which is fine. I don't need to get down to like a complete zero, but I want to get as close to zero as possible so that I know where every dollar is going. Now this is my pre-plan. So this is what I plan to do with the money once I get it. And then here on the right hand column is what I actually do with the money. So all I'm doing at the beginning of the month is trying to get that one cell to be as close to zero as possible. So I did that for February 1st and February 15th. So that part of the budgeting is over. All right, so I can check that off. Next up is reconciling my bullet journal. So way back when we first started this video, I told you that I'm looking through my bullet journal and identifying what tasks I have completed over the past month. Now I'm gonna go back and identify any open tasks so that I can migrate those over into my master task list, either on Notion, or migrate those over into a to-do list for February. Now I'm going to focus on Flexible Forethought, which is this channel. I'm going to look at my content calendar, and I'm also going to make sure that I've scheduled time to film, edit, and post those videos. And my channel does have its own Notion page here. So this is my content calendar where I will plan out what videos I'll be doing over the next few months. So I just want to make sure that for the month of February, I have 4 videos programmed. I also have like some maybes here on the side. So I'm gonna go through and pick and choose which ones I'm going to be focusing on in the next month. If I needed to pull some content ideas, I do have a master list idea table here, different things that I might want to do in the future. But for now, I have more than enough ideas for the next month, so that is a check. Let me go back into the review. And I've looked at my content calendar and I have scheduled editing, filming, and posting. That is more of a weekly task. So while I'm here, I'm gonna move that over into my weekly review. All right, I've looked at the content calendar. I'm also off camera going to review my work calendar, and I'm gonna make sure that I completed my work monthly review and reset, which is totally separate and it has much less action items on that, but I'm gonna do that before I check off this complete here for the work section. Now I have the last P of the Get a Grip system, which is to plan. So I'm gonna update the monthly view in my paper planning system, and I'm also gonna update any digital planners that I have, specifically my Notion monthly overview. I'm gonna do all of that updating so that I'm all set for the coming month. Now my monthly and quarterly planning all reflects my yearly goals. And if you're interested in how I set up and planned for my yearly goals, check out this video right here.